need support staff to clear the room. Stand up and walk, now.
Hello, and welcome to The Watch. My name is Chris Ryan. I am an editor at TheRinger.com. And joining me in the studio, going analog, it's Andy Greenwald!
We have a lot to talk about.
We have so much to talk about. I'm in a great mood. It's great to be back with you and Kai here at Spotify, where we make podcasts. I hope you're listening to us on Spotify. You can email us at thewatch@spotify.com. Some great emails about industry. I'm still sort of sorting through them because a lot of them are comments more than questions.
Oh, like my dad at a film festival.
And you can follow us on the Instagram at thewatchpod_, and you can watch us here on Spotify or on YouTube at the Ringer-TV channel.
So we're going to do Pitt, we're going to do some trailers, we're going to do some industry talk. We got some stuff at the top.
We got stuff at the top. I'm feeling great. You know what was happening today on the way in? First of all, I don't know why. I'm just in a good mood. Second of all,
I'm going to interrogate this and try to bring you down.
Do you ever, when you're driving, you get into the flow state and you're like, I'm Ryan Gosling and Drive. And I was listening to, I know this guy's canceled kind of, but I was listening to Sun Kill Moon.
Yeah.
And
sure.
You know that song Gentle Moon that was in Friday Night Lights when Street and Riggs go to New York? Mm-hmm. I was listening to that and I was like, there is no road. You know what I mean?
I interviewed that guy in a Austin motel 26 years ago during South by Southwest, and I don't know if I emerged alive. Like that was a weird...
This has all been a dream since then.
Honestly?
Yeah, you're still in that
I could wake up in that bathtub without a kidney, but with a haunting acoustic melody playing
but at least
head.
Trump wouldn't be president, right?
Fair.
In this dream that you're having in the Austin
my
hotel.
God, can you imagine? It's like that, what was that James Franco Hulu series about the Stephen King, the time travel to stop the Kennedy assassination, but it's all to stop Obama from making fun of him at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. No jokes! Can you imagine?
And then we'd be fine.
We would be fine. I want to, you hate shit like this, but we got to talk about it. Monday.
Yeah.
President's Day.
Yeah.
You took the day off.
I didn't. I worked.
Health reasons.
I did multiple pods that
DNP.
day. Yeah.
Coach's decision. You're the coach.
Uh-huh.
I just want to put on the record what you missed, because people like to pull back the curtain a little bit, and people don't know that there are torrential rainstorms in Southern California this week.
Yeah.
And after we wrapped our podcast, Spotify flooded.
Well, I mean, there was some flooding.
Some flooding. Okay, management.
It's not like in Crimson Tide when we lose Rick Schroeder. You know what I mean? It's like, you guys had some water on the ground and you had some complications about which door to get out of.
Here's the thing that I want to talk about. And Kaya, feel free to jump in. First of all, crises reveal character.
Sure.
That's something I've said since the White House Correspondents' Dinner in 2012 or whenever that was. And I do think we lacked your head on a swivel, let's get this done leadership. Because I think, as we've discussed every time we talk about a dystopian zombie show, we all agree you do great.
I'm starting to wonder about that.
Really?
Yeah.
What about you in the flow state?
Well, that's like when I'm listening to Gentle Moon.
Oh, so you just put the little AirPods in, crank up Red House Painters.
Like Baby Driver.
Yes.
Just like...
and then get us all out of here.
Yeah.
Because what was insane about being here was that the courtyard was raging waters. It was like, it was shin deep. Is that fair?
Yeah, come on, dude, relax.
I'm not saying my point is not that we were in danger. You're misunderstanding. Yeah. You weren't here. Okay?
I saw your content you made about it, though, where you were taking pictures and sending them to me.
Just to you, though.
Yeah.
That's a private feed.
Yeah.
My point wasn't that it was...
gatekeeping that footage.
Okay. My point wasn't that it was dangerous. My point was no one would let us leave. And then at one point we were like, there are unflooded streets out these doors. And the gentleman who worked here said, well, these are emergency doors. And I was like, aha.
Yeah, but it wasn't an emergency. If it was like truly waves of water coming, I'm sure he would
then
be
we'd be allowed to leave?
Yeah. But it was probably like ankle, shin deep.
Wow.
What was it?
Look at this boot looking. Unbelievable. Thank God I was wearing boots because I got out of here. Kaya, did you were calm, cool, collected?
Well, I wasn't really providing a lot of solutions to you either. I was kind of just like, I don't know, Andy, you're going to have to wait it out.
You like to get out of here when this is over.
But she also said,
I understand.
I misunderstood you. You said you're going to have to wait it out. And I waited my way to the parking garage.
Right.
That was what happened.
I was like, I have a meeting. Sorry, I can't help you. And then 5 minutes later, I got a video of Andy splashing through some puddles.
I did share the text. I shared it with Kaya too, but separate channels. because I didn't want, I don't want the streams to cross.
You and we text about Fred again and Underworld in the streets, and you and Kaya talk about Rain. Do you want to talk about any of the trailers that have dropped this week before we get into the Pitt and other stuff?
Yeah,
I mean,
do.
there's some interesting stuff. I'm trying to think if there was any like news aside from.
You don't want to talk about the streets and Underworld?
I mean,
clip?
Fred again had a 4-night residency at Alley Pally.
I didn't know about this guy. I don't
Fred
understand.
again?
I thought he was like
That guy's mad popular.
I thought he was like Rufus Du Sol. These other acts that I don't understand that
Did
play
you
Hollywood
never
Bowl.
saw the video of Fred again making a beat in front of Zane Lowe?
No.
When he's like,
Yeah, do it.
And Zane Lowe is just like, God damn. It's very funny.
One of my favorite things in my now 3 to 4 hours of knowing about Fred again was that he grew up in the Wilshire countryside next to Brian Eno.
Do you check someone's biography as soon as you come into contact with them to like start placing their education and their background?
That's why I don't drop Sun Kill Moon references anymore. I was born with receipts. Okay? I mean, it must be fun to shoot from the hip all the time, but
yeah. Anyway, I was when I got back from dinner last night, I came across this.
But so Fred again, who is a big deal that I knew nothing about.
Yeah, huge,
real big with the kids.
Real big,
okay, thank
real
you,
big with
Kaya.
everybody.
Youth
I mean, I think
correspondent.
it expands beyond generations.
Well, it does now.
And he had a residency in London at the Alexandra Palace, the
Right.
Alley Pally, and had Mike Skinner, aka the Streets, performing with him, and he had the Streets was like kind of doing his rap over Born Slippy, which is the iconic anthem of Train Spotting.
So Darren
from
Emerson
Underworld.
comes out, drops the heavenly keys.
Yeah,
and
but
then
I feel
Mike
like-
Skinner came out and did the verse from Weak Become Heroes.
And then Carl came out
Carl came out
and did
and finished them.
Born Slippy, and when the beat dropped on Born
Headshot.
Slippy, it was like, yeah,
That's what I put
John
on.
Wick, make it end now.
I feel
Yeah.
like everyone within 7 years of us in either direction, just check on them today. They probably need a hug. That was very, very meaningful.
Okay, let's start with The Mandalorian and
Oh.
Grogu.
You love talking about this movie.
Well,
You're going to zag.
still don't know what it's about.
Well, it appears to be about some beloved cartoon characters making the leap to live action.
That's not what a movie can be about. Interesting
Excuse me, where have
that
you been in the last 5 years?
interesting
Yes,
that
it
this
can.
trailer drops,
Mm.
and this is the week that Steven Soderbergh decided to break his silence about The Hunt for Ben Solo.
Did he? Wait, I didn't.
Yeah, because he's doing a
Did Fred
residency.
again bring him out? Wait, what did Fred again just brought out all your heroes? Taylor Sheridan comes out to read the scripts from Linus season 3.
Benicio del Toro comes out. He's like, "We are in the land of wolves now." Dun, dun, dun,
Then Bill
dun,
comes
dun,
out to reiterate that they're doing Sicario on the rewatchables.
Yeah.
How many people are backstage? It's like a clown car.
I thought it was. I doubt it was in any way tied
Wait,
to
so
it.
what did Soderbergh say?
Soderbergh is doing a sort of artist in residency
Mhm.
at the Nighthawk Cinema in New York, where he's presenting, I think, like 10 or 11 movies that have shaped him as a
Awesome.
filmmaker. He did an interview, can't remember quite where it was, about talking about that. And then at the end of the interview, he kind of got into the Ben Solo stuff. And, usually I would describe him as candid, but incredibly incredibly able at like deflecting and kind of being like, oh, it's not that big of a deal and blah, blah, blah. He was like, no, I wasted 2 years of my life on it. And
He
we
sure
were
did.
this was a go picture. And they canceled it without being like, what's the budget? Like, he's like, I'm pissed. And me and Adam and Rebecca Blunt, who I think is Jules Asner, right? That's the pen name.
That's such a sick pen name.
I think it's cool that he and his wife have all these different pseudonyms for the different jobs they do on his movies. In any case, he was just like,
It's what keeps it spicy.
I'm salty that I had made the movie in my head.
Yeah.
We were getting going.
He says nearly 3 years. Time inflation.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, Steven Soderbergh, quote unquote, wasting 3 years of his life. He made 9 movies in that time.
Yeah, and he watched every season of Below Deck again and blogged about it.
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting that his comments about Ben Solo came out the same week The Mandalorian and Grogu, because it's almost like, the road is diverging into two paths.
Mm.
And we have taken the one where it's a lot of creatures jumping around.
Baby Greedo
Yeah.
is our future.
Is he in this?
Yeah.
I did not read a frame-by-frame breakdown of this. I did not. Baby Greedo?
Yeah.
The same guy?
We don't know. Maybe it's Grigu. You know what I mean? Like we We have to learn. We as a people have to get better. And we can't just assume just because there's a little version of something that it's a baby of the other one.
Well, that was my mistake initially with Grogu, right? We were all like, it's Yoda. This is his origin.
That was my mistake with Austin Butler, too. I was like, he's a movie star. I'm not sure about that yet.
You don't think so?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I didn't mean to like do a drive-by. We don't know yet.
We get a little bit more of...
Look how you're like that dude on CNN right now. Just asking questions.
Which dude?
Scott Jennings.
I am not being like Scott Jennings.
You're just like sitting back. You started this fire. Disney released this new trailer because of you.
Well, I think that in the same way that I was concerned that they felt the need to do a send-up of the Budweiser Clydesdales commercial.
They did, yeah.
During the Super Bowl, I'm equally concerned that they were like, oh shit, we better show Pedro Pascal. Like a lot.
I mean, yeah.
Like, because maybe nobody wants to see this movie.
Yeah,
for real.
Can you imagine like in broadcast news, like someone running up to Kathy Kennedy's office and just putting out a piece of paper
And
on
she's
her
not
desk.
there.
And she's not there. The desk it's empty. And Dave Filoni is sitting like in the chair in the corner. You know what I mean? And like
I think I know what you mean.
And the piece of paper just has like Eddington's box office numbers. They're like, get me that face. Get me that face.
Give me the mayor from Eddington.
Put him in this movie.
Did you see Eddington?
No, that's on my list though. I mean, pre-Oscars list. Not that it was nominated. But.
So yeah, I just think that I still don't know what this movie's about, but I think from my understanding, the very young people out there are very excited about this, and I support them.
Kaya?
Not Kaya's age.
No, but Kaya knows about Fred again. So
single
Kaya,
digits.
what are the kids saying about Mando and Grogu? And use some slang too. Say low key.
Yeah.
Say aura farming.
Kids are fuck.
This is so exciting. Kai, clip
I'm
this.
trying to figure how do I work looks maxing.
Oh,
kids
God.
are Grogu maxing.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're Grogu maxing.
They're Muppet maxing in this trailer.
Any other takes on Mandalorian?
I don't know. We should get like Matt Bellany on. Like I just like genuinely is
Matt
there.
Bellany, we should do a pod with Matt Bellany.
I agree, but
Matt Bellany is down.
But only about his appearance on the studio.
No, I want to
as a
talk to
performer.
Matt about all the ins and outs, man.
I do too. His Ted Sarandos interview was fascinating that he just did. But I guess this hasn't hit tracking yet.
Yeah, I guess not.
But they just keep dumping more creature slop into this, and I don't understand the purpose.
I think the purpose is to get children to come see it, and if enough parents have to take their kids
Yeah.
to this movie, it's going to be successful. If it's like dudes who still haven't gotten over Lonnie and Andor, probably not.
It's true.
For them.
For what it's worth, when this new trailer aired, my children sat up straight on the couch and they were like, that's the guy who had leg surgery in Materialists. Let's go.
That's a good line.
Thanks.
Yeah. Another parallel that I'll draw here is that it's the week of the season finale of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Oh, already?
Yeah.
I know, but I know I wasn't trying to like, you got worried for a second. No, that's a bummer. I enjoyed it.
You sounded some reservations about the last episode. I can never tell really where you're going and when you're buying and selling shows.
No, I love the show.
Okay. We've got the last episode of that. But today I saw the new trailer for the third season. It's a teaser, really, for House of the Dragon.
And you didn't gatekeep it. You sent it to me.
Right away. You know, James Norton joins the series this season.
Saw him.
You saw him in the trailer.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like
I did the Leo on the couch
at
thing.
the Delta One Lounge or something like that.
Well, it's possible with me.
And I was struck by how different it feels. How different it
From
feels.
what we've gotten used to these last
just
few
of
weeks.
like
Yes.
hearing Matt Smith be like, "Today you turn into king. You're going to be the queen now."
That's quite a transition. But
That's not what I mean.
Yeah.
I'll have to adjust to get back into House of the Dragon mindset. You know, of big flying beasts and literally Game of Thrones rather than the kind of more street level and more character-driven stuff that we've been watching. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that House of the Dragon can't kind of correct course from where it was, and I think adding some cast members will at least be interesting, if not a saving grace. Anything you took away from this?
I am not eager to get back to this world. Not Westeros generally, but this version of Westeros. It's been a long time, so I don't really remember.
I forgot about... I think I forgot what's happening on the show.
It was
bit.
weird that in updating us, like they showed us a lot of the main cast, they showed us some new cast, but my favorite dynamic character from season 2, the Weirwood tree, that had about 50% of the screen time with Matt Smith. Like, what happened? Maybe the fire, like that's what happens to that wood. I do remember a lot of those scenes. Okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
Like, weirdly, enough time has passed that now when they showed Fabian Frankel, I was like, that's my guy.
I know. We're so fucking down for
I've 180'd on him. I'm mostly excited for him. I guess the most charitable response to something that's a teaser, so we don't know anything yet, is that they have had enough time now, both making the show and reacting to the making of the show, to know what they are doing and have a couple reps now. And infamously, season 2 ended on the cusp of the big battle that people were excited
Everybody's
about.
marching off. So I would imagine season 3 begins with it, unless it's like some throat clearing before we get to it.
And did Casey confirm it? But I think the sense is that 4 seasons is it for the show.
Yeah, I think he said, I leave that up to the creators, but with something that's as expensive as this, and there's a finite amount of story. They're moving through it.
What's crazy to me is how quickly high quality TV can change one's perspective and opinion about things, because I did pick up just some headlines and some chatter with Ira Parker, who's the showrunner of Night of the Seven Kingdoms. People were asking him about, they're shooting season 2 now, but asking about potential seasons that could outpace the novellas.
Yes.
And I know diverging from George R.R. Martin's sacred texts is controversial, and now the strict Scalia-esque reading of that is now back in fashion.
Although to Ira Parker's credit, there's several things in this season of Night of the Seven Kingdoms that are either mentioned briefly as text or not in the books at all, and he's kind of not embellished, but had a flourish. So this is the problem, is that Martin's working pretty closely on A Night of the Seven Kingdoms and has talked about how he has ideas for several more novellas than have actually been published. That's where you start to get into late period Game of Thrones, when it's like, well, we have the blueprint, but we don't have the actual working documents.
Yeah.
I would hope that with something that's as compact as this, they're able to kind of, I don't even know if there needs to be 10 seasons of this. But
all I was going to say was, that made me excited. If they could make this a regular occurrence, Dunk and Egg having adventures, fixed location adventures for a couple years, what a delightful addition to the HBO programming slate that would be.
One of the things that was interesting about the Soderbergh Ben Solo idea was one of the few franchise ideas that actually was going forward. Unless, of course, it was like Ben Solo actually in a hotel room with Sun Kill Moon in 2002 and
punching the wall like
everything is a
Marriage Story.
dream. But it was basically this, it was going to continue to push that franchise forward rather than doing prequels and historical lookbacks. And Thrones is kind of creeping up on that precipice as well, where I think they could continue to do great historical moments in the history of the realm, but it seems to be very little interest on the Martin side in having a Arya or Jon Snow show, or whatever happens after this. But I wonder how many of these, can you do the, I don't know, not the Blackfire Rebellion, because it's in Night of the Seven Kingdoms. How many historical events in Game of Thrones can you do before anybody is like, hey, could we see what happened after Daenerys?
I think that, but that's also my only response to that good observation is that's one of the other reasons why Night of the Seven Kingdoms is such a success, because it is going historical, but it's also going kind of sideways and in a different lane.
Well, it just
at
feels
a different
different.
speed.
Yeah, and
that is as significant as anything else, I think, when you're trying to mine IP for multiple seasons and multiple years across multiple corporate regimes. I'm sure one of the most fascinating things that we could ever get access to probably would be the Game of Thrones development history of 2020 until present day, of just how many pitches they've heard, what directions they've gone, because I would imagine they've actively engaged on almost all of them.
Oh, I'm sure.
Including ones that would not necessarily, may ultimately push the story forward with characters we know, but might just be like, yeah, we're in Essos now.
Yes.
We're telling that story.
We got to get out of this Snow Lannister or Stark Lannister Targaryen triangle.
It's cool, but I think the other lesson, hopefully, you know, this is just wish casting. The lesson that I hope these people learn is that it is very much about the people you empower to tell the stories as much as it is the stories that you choose to pursue.
I had 2 more things for you in news. Did you have anything for news headlines?
Well, these trailers.
It's not. This isn't a headline. This is more of a personal observation and a cry in the dark. 000, one of my most beloved shows of the decade so far. Something that we talked about a fair amount during the pandemic when we were recording from our living rooms and stuff and from our offices. And I had Andrea Riseborough on the show to talk to her about the series. It's an example of a time when Prime Video, Amazon's TV's philosophy was kind of like, let's give this filmmaker and a ton of money and see what happens. And, you know, you got things like Too Old to Die Young and some of the Soloway stuff. 000 is definitely my favorite thing to come out of Amazon Prime's early days, and it is now no longer available on Amazon Prime.
No. How did you find out?
I was looking for it the other day because I was going to be talking
because
about...
Eyes Wide Shut ended and you were like, let's keep the mood going?
Sean and I on The Big Picture are talking about Crime 101, the movie, and also stuff that's been influenced by Heat. And I was like, I wonder how many TV shows I could come up with that could be credibly influenced by Heat, and 000 was at the top of my mind because of the way that some of the gun battles work. So I was like, you just fire up some Vampiros, and it's not there. It's gone.
That's a bummer.
Too Old to Die Young, incredibly still on the surface, even though it was never, ever promoted by anybody at Amazon. But it just goes to show you, man, I mean, the more streaming services we get, there are still things falling through the cracks.
Oh, yeah.
So I got 000 on Blu-ray.
Did you?
Yeah, I don't know. This is
it's on Blu-ray?
Not a conversation you probably are like dying to have. It's just like, this sucks that like this is going to happen. That we're, especially if we get the merger one way or the other towards Netflix or Paramount. I wonder how many series is this going to happen to?
Most of them, I think, other than the prizes that get kicked around.
Yeah.
Speaking of Heat, which doesn't get a lot of airtime across the Ringer properties.
No, it's still sort of a cult thing.
I thought you had a good conversation with Bill about Miami Vice.
Oh, the other day?
Yeah, on the podcast. You did a great mailbag appearance.
Thank you.
It was really good.
I really appreciate that.
I thought it was really entertaining. I thought you had some very good points.
About Miami Vice?
Well, about Michael Mann's filmography. And how across all of them there is a man looking out over an expanse of water from his weirdly expensive
sparsely
house.
Modern living room. Yeah,
that was a really good point. It did make me think, and I know we have some industry questions, but I feel like there's more meat on the mailbag bone for us.
You and me.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because I feel like we do them often like when there's a holiday or we're pre-recording. And recently, especially with the email address, we've gotten really good questions.
Yes.
But the questions we do tend to fall into one of two categories. Like, what are the best shows of prestige TV and what ranking? Or what books are you guys reading?
You know what?
And I feel like we could do, I'm not saying we're going to turn into
sometimes when you see your students and they're not achieving, you got to look at the teachers.
Yes.
And
it's not the questions, it's us.
Our industry responses were quite good because you and I, which we probably should disagree more, but what can we do about that?
We're just buddies.
There's some slight disagreement about where this season of industry is at.
Yeah.
And we asked our listenership to weigh in on where they were at. We got a lot of finance bros writing in and just being like the EBITDA, like
I'm sorry?
The EBITDA and like the valuations of things. But generally speaking, I think it's like 50-50 pretty split. It's like there's a contingent of people who kind of are still really, 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 really vibing with the show and kind of thinking about it somewhat in the way I am. And then there's a healthy group of people who are like, I don't know if this Russia thing works for me, and I don't know if I can track Harper's character arc anymore, and I kind of miss kids at their first job going out at night.
Sure.
As if it was ever that innocent. But
really.
Yeah, some really great questions.
It was a great segue. I was just going to say we should do more like life advice segments.
Just you and me giving life advice to other people.
Yeah, because we got it. I mean, not for nothing. We nailed it.
Yeah, I'm just a dude who gets overwhelmed by 2 inches of water.
Yeah. Well, no, I got out. And I'd like to teach others. What is the value of me surviving if I can't lift up others?
Sure. This is
a rising tide.
Very Noah's Ark of you. What's
That's
going
what
on?
It was like out there. Are you crazy? They needed 2 of every kind of podcaster. And all we had was white men in glasses. So.
Greenwald.
It's tough.
This episode is brought to you by Volkswagen. It can be hard to do your own thing when everyone else is following everyone else, but that's what some of the best films are about. An outcast striving to make their own way in the world. And this is your sign to be that outcast. From us, from VW, from the other outcasts out there, take a chance. Make the most of every day, and don't be afraid to veer off course every now and then, because if you don't do it now, then when? Learn more at VW.com. These emails are relatively long. They're longer than usually we get for our mailbag, but I think I'll try to throw some out there. These are Industry Season 4 emails. So if you haven't watched Industry Season 4, I definitely would skip.
I also, just in context, and not just to gas you up, but I also enjoyed hearing you talk to Bill about Industry because it was a helpful reminder that as the show's audience has grown, the segments of audience has diversified as well, so that there are like a portfolio, if you will. That it was interesting just to hear his perspective of like what he likes about it and what he was saying about what other people in the parts of the country might like about it.
Sure.
And that it is interesting to note that like as the show becomes more successful, the fan base is no longer unified. It's not like one face of the fandom that likes the show because of vibes or because of finance or because of ketamine.
Yeah.
Like that there's different ways to engage with the show.
Oh, I mean, there's plenty of people I'm sure who watch it because it sounds really good and people look cool on it. And I don't mean that in a bad way because I watch some shows that are like that, but it's really nice to watch these people sort of move in and out of beautiful spaces as Nathan McKay music plays.
The other awesome thing about it that I think speaks to something that we have long been passionate about is that the opportunity that Sunday nights on HBO gives to creators who are ready, talented, and willing to take it is still unmatched.
Yes.
In the sense that the show has a week-to-week stature and pride of place that allows and like encourages conversation. And so there are people watching Industry this season who maybe haven't watched previous seasons, who maybe aren't liking the season or have different opinions about the season, but because it feels significant and it's cumulative and it does not, as we've been saying in ways both praising and criticizing, it does not shy away from the moment. That makes it feel a certain kind of way, a certain kind of special.
Here's an email from Will, longtime listener, first-time writer, and once an investment banker here.
Oh.
After hearing Andy express possibly for the first time a few reservations about Industry on the most recent episode, I wanted to write in and share a few thoughts of my own. For context, I usually avoid shows and movies about the world of finance because they tend to simultaneously hit too close to home and turn me into a pedant about little inaccuracies. Succession was the rare exception, and when it came to Industry, your rave reviews of earlier seasons convinced me to give it a try. Despite some obvious artistic liberties, the first season did manage to hook me, especially after Harper's Wrong Way Cable sterling dollar pair trade with Aubrey. I kind of remember that.
That is, like the hairs in the back of my neck stood up, even though I don't remember anything about it.
The way the writers had her escalating each batshit crazy move with an even crazier one was completely outrageous, yet also elegantly plotted and true feeling to her character. And I, just as me talking, I think ultimately this is where I net out with any show about a very specific discipline, which is that I do not care if it is true, I care if it feels true.
Absolutely.
I don't really go to Industry to be like, is this how people trade currencies? I'm going to Industry to feel like it feels real. As the show evolved, I stuck with it, despite feeling its realism and believability fading with each season. But season 4 really jumped the shark for me. First, while the show was never particularly concerned with verisimilitude, it felt to me like the creators became progressively less interested in that aspect to the point where key plot points were based on things that made no sense. And then he goes into a lot of stuff about EV, EBITDA, multiple, Bill Adler's ouster, like a bunch of stuff about Harper and Petra's fund being up $600 million and then shorting Pierpoint, et cetera. We can ask Mickey and Conrad about that. As it relates to season 4, I agree with Andy that the writers are trying to stuff too much plot into 8 episodes and in the process creating clunkiness and telling, not showing character. Behaviors that don't make much sense. For example, I understand that for plot tension reasons, the Tony Day turn and Eric Saul sacrifice are 2 big dramatic turning points in season 4, episode 6. But while dramatically impactful, neither made much sense to me. If tender stock was down 30%, the market has clearly lost faith in the narrative that management, including the CEO and CFO, have been weaving. So why would a lower-ranking employee going on TV to defend that very same narrative have any ability to assuage those doubts and turn the stock around? So it's that kind of stuff.
But your point, I think, is a really important one to make. we are not interested. I think we share this, and we encourage other people to engage with art this way too. It's like we don't go to a gallery. We don't go to a gallery filled with paintings to look for photographs. We're going to see emotion, artistic sensibility, artistic decision making, and to see what can be communicated in non-direct, non-reproductions of life.
Yeah.
And I have, as someone who proudly sits here before you, volunteering to give you life advice, who knows nothing about financial anything. Any criticism I have about industry this season, none of it has anything to do with losing the third rail of verisimilitude.
Yes.
If anything, I think it speaks to a happy marriage between Mickey and Conrad's changing interests, which is good for creators to stay curious and to chase what interests them more, as well as the necessities of an ongoing TV show where it is, if the beginning maybe it's about characters feeding the narrative and feeding the plot, later it becomes bending the story and bending the situations to feed the characters.
Yes.
So that all works. That's fine for me. And I think one of the things that they've done really well from the beginning is, like you said, communicating what matters on an emotional level about those moments and scoring them appropriately, directing them, editing them appropriately as well.
Yeah, I'll always use the Moneyball example as what we're talking about here, where the adaptation of Michael Lewis's book, the Brad Pitt film, feels true, even though I know that the pitching staff of the Oakland A's had a lot to do with their success that season and are never mentioned in the movie.
Yes.
Except for Chad, what's his face, who does the submarine.
The funky submarine arm. No, and there's Ricardo Rincon. Wasn't he a relief pitcher?
Yeah, he was. Did they get him?
That's the trade. Yeah. That's the trade.
But
it's
not
Indians.
Tim Hudson, Mark Mulder, and Barry Zito.
I just have very few opportunities to prove that I've rewatched films. You know what I mean? So I just
and they had a good closer
that
year too. It wasn't Keith Folk, but it was like
is that later?
I think
Why are we doing this?
I don't know. Sorry.
Will's going to write back in and be like, some notes about your mangling. As a longtime fan of rotisserie league baseball, you are disgusting.
Greetings from Caracas.
Oh, wait, last thing.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm not about baseball. We're going to talk about the Pitt in a minute. The Pitt is rightfully praised for its accuracy about emergency room medicine, and we have often gotten we get messages, but also clearly the culture understands that people who work in the medical profession are by and large fans of the Pitt because they're like, I've never seen this level of accuracy before. They could all be gaslighting me. Every single thing that they say on the Pitt when they need a trauma room could be lies.
Sure.
It could be gibberish.
Yes.
And the show would still work. And I think that's an important test. Like, the reason that the show is exceptional to me is very little to do with the fact that they can spout differential diagnoses for almost any circumstance.
Right. Well, let's get into another email here from Oscar from Caracas, Venezuela.
Oscar, close the laptop. A lot going on.
I just wanted to say season 4 of Industry is quickly becoming one of my favorite seasons of television. I agree that it is not flawless, but something being not perfect is usually a sign of greatness in the sense that it shows more raw identity and intent rather than meticulous restraint.
I agree with you, Oscar.
Put that on my tombstone.
Also, why you died. Not just your core belief system.
I disagree with Andy regarding episode 6 in the sense that it is much, quote, in character for the series to progress that way. They do not waste time in over-explaining what you already can know because you understand the characters based on previous seasons and the dynamics between each other. For example, Harper's reaction to Eric's statements on CNN. I always got the sense that Harper had doubts about Eric's abilities because she doubts everyone's ability in front of her own. Furthermore, I agree with Chris regarding the bleakness of Rishi and Eric's return. Nevertheless, I just found the whole sending off for Eric to be really emotional. One of my favorite sequences this season is their conversation throughout the episode where Sweet Pea and Kwabena go to Accra. It provides a lot of context as to why they feel towards each other at all. I admit the FSB side of things is a risk taken that feels off-putting, but is that not a reason why we love Mickey and Conrad? Sorry for the rant. Don't turn on Industry. I'm not turning on Industry.
I mean,
that FSB shit is real, man. Read about it.
Oh, I thought blink twice.
No, just they get up to some nasty work, man.
Yeah. They're low-key winning, as my daughter would say. About Animal Crossing or something. Look, I just praised how the experience and the engagement afforded to industry by the week-to-week thing. This point that Oscar brings up very well is what makes this a challenge because, and in addition to the fact that like nuance in 2026 and on podcasts is hard, like I love this show and I love this project and I will always choose exactly how he described it, like running towards risk and potentially making wild mistakes, much like Harper, over conservative television making, particularly when you have the bully pulpit that these guys have. The fact that, to my mind, so far, there have been stumbles ultimately makes me more affectionate about the project.
Sure.
But it's been a challenge because we are in the middle of something quite audacious with the season. Not the middle, we're now rounding third in the Moneyball sense of things. So we'll see.
Yeah. To speak to your we'll see, I'll end on this email from Jake.
Okay.
I started my career as an M&A lawyer at a Magic Circle firm in London and have enjoyed watching industry since day one.
I'm Googling Magic Circle firm. Go
I
on.
am somewhat surprised to hear some pushback from Andy and Chris about the direction of the season.
Do you know what that is? Magic Circle firms are an elite group of 5 London headquartered law firms that were renowned for high stakes corporate banking and M&A work. That's a cool name.
That is
Magic
a cool name.
Circle.
To me, this is the best homage to Michael Mann I have seen since Tenet. No one in Miami Vice or Collateral talks like a real person, and frankly, very few people in finance talk like real people either.
True.
In each case, the players are professionals carrying degrees of hollowness that are necessary for survival. Much like any espionage tale, Mann's protagonists know that standing on principle often means certain death. The dramatic tension for us as viewers is witnessing when they choose to take that stand and suffer the consequences, e.g., Eric on CNN. I would be curious to know what each of you think the show needs to accomplish in the next 2 episodes. You continually express admiration at the risk-taking on an episode-to-episode basis, but it sounds like you need something more grounding. Is that a through-line emotional arc, character growth, or something else? Happy, blah, 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 and thanks for making your podcast.
So before we answer the question, I would like to digress slightly and say that as perhaps American podcasts' 2 biggest fans of Tony Gilroy, I love people who talk like this. And we know Mickey and Conrad love Tony, the person and the screenwriter. And it's a great style to chase and to pursue. I think that my criticism of some of the language this season is related to my criticism of the real estate problem. In the show's history, in the first few seasons, there was a more equitable, it felt anyway, equitable split between work hours and nightlife hours. Now, obviously, the core tenet of the show is that everything is everything all the time. But often, the excesses of adrenaline during the day would be equaled with the excesses of drugs and alcohol at night, which would lead to a different kind of intimacy and honesty that would then feel even more raw in the harsh glare of the trading floor in the next morning. And I felt like there was a balance created between the types of conversations people would have in suits and out of suits. Earlier this season, there was a scene in Somerset. I believe it's at Henry's party, but I may be conflating events. But there is a Harper and Yasmin scene where they are talking. Oh,
they're being really snippy with each other.
Well, no, they're being snippy often, but they're being a little more intimate and like they are friends. And yeah, they're being a little snippy with each other, but it's from a place of peacefulness between them as opposed to where the season was inevitably going. And I think Yaz is chopping up lines or something, which makes it tonally consistent with the previous 3 seasons.
Sure.
As the story has ramped up this season, we've lost a lot of those scenes. And so now whenever characters speak to each other, they are wearing their power suits and they are speaking in their Tony Gilroy monologues to each other. And for me, that throws off the balance.
Sure. So for you, the answer would probably be feeling like that, hey, we took the masks off, intimacy coming back in the last couple of episodes to make you feel a little bit closer to the characters.
And for what it's worth, like everything we're talking about is the project, which is why I'm always trying to be careful about how we criticize or even discuss it. The fascinating aspect of Rob and what made him so essential in the balance of the show was that when the drugs came out and when the alcohol started pouring, he became more vulnerable and more honest. And that kind of made him more at risk because the other characters just became heightened versions of themselves to a different degree. But he was always leading with his bleeding heart. And that character and that energy is gone now. So you just notice it. But like, the point you made so well the other day when we were talking about the episode is like, there is no division anymore because Eric is living where he is working. This is a like forest, not trees, brilliant iteration of the show. It's where it was always going. It's not just defensible. It's an excellent idea.
I saw,
but execution is where I'm starting to get tripped up. That you can defend, and not just defend, you can make really strong arguments in favor of every decision, which is the sign of a quality program.
There's a fan edit floating around, basically, you know, like when people make their own montage and stuff like that of mixtapes of television shows or movies. And there's one that's basically Eric's speech from the first episode of the series.
Yeah.
And he talks about how...
With a baseball bat? Or is that later?
Can't remember if he has a baseball bat. I think it's like when he's doing the actual like welcome to Pierpoint speech. And he's talking about how half of you will not be here when we get to the end. And then it kind of goes through all the people who have been vaporized by this business or, you know, from death to choosing to go do something else to being exiled to America to being, you know, where Eric is now. And now Eric is one of the half of the people that he is talking about. And, I don't know. I think as long as the show keeps its nerve when it comes to stuff like that, and I think the problem I have when shows or movies or anything dabbles in the real like Michael Mann shit like that is that they don't have the guts to follow through. And then at the end, it'll be like, no, actually, he just needed to like kind of connect with his trauma, and now he's fine. It's like that's not how this works. These people aren't fine, you know? Like that's why they are the way they are in the first place, is because they're not fine and they don't get it fixed within the 45 minutes to an hour of a television show or 2 hours of a movie. So as long as it holds its nerve, I'm down.
It's going to hold its nerve. The show, I mean, shows become, main characters are often avatars of the spirit of the show. And the show is Harper. And the show doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And the show is not going to be felled by the numbers trauma or your... I'm trying to think like what happened, like what was Don Draper's weakness was that he was going to get found out. Well, Harper got found out early on.
Like midway through the first season.
Didn't matter.
Yeah. But then it turns into a long-term trading of secrets and lies between these people.
What undid Tony Soprano? He had weird dreams.
Yeah.
Harper doesn't dream, man. She doesn't even sleep. So not worried.
Let's do the pit.
Yeah.
This will be for the, what is this, 2 p.m.?
1 p.m.?
Look, man, it doesn't really matter.
2:00. See, I come in with the episode number.
Do you know what it is? You know what time it is? It's
Yeah.
fucking Jack Abbott time. Because we scream
Let's talk about this.
ACAB except for Jack Abbott. You know what I'm saying?
All cops are beautiful doctors.
This guy, on his time off,
This is so funny.
is doing field medicine for SWAT teams.
My guy comes in full camo drip with a gunshot impact wound from stopped by his vest that he attempts to self-surgery. This reminds me of when you show up for The Watch having done 4 other podcasts in your free time. I
just need to say that this show jumped up a notch when he showed up. Like it is the absolute, it's the example of, you know how like Trent Dilfer once said about quarterbacks, there are thermostat guys and thermometer guys?
Yes. So
some change the temperature, some read the temperature. This is what he's talking about.
Which one is he?
Thermostat.
Yeah, wait.
Thermostat comes in, you change the temperature.
Oh, he changes the temperature.
Some people react, some people proact, you know, or whatever. It's like
Which one are we?
I think you're more reactive. I think you really feed off of my energy. Yeah.
I do. It's 100% true.
Jack Abbott was a necessary shot in the arm in a show where there are lots of shots. And I thought he was fantastic, but I'm almost skipping the lead here because this show knows what it has in Catherine Lanassa. There's been the first few weeks of this season, obviously, like a lot of memes about Baby Jane Doe and, you know, Dana's perhaps losing the hold on the Pittsburgh accent. There's been some talk about where that accent is going.
I don't, by the way, it's 1 p.m. I don't, we don't need to dwell on that. I don't think she's ever done a Pittsburgh accent.
It's
she's
fine.
doing Delco.
Yeah. She's extraordinary in this episode. And this is why this show is more than just like a really cool piece of ER karaoke and like a great kind of the dignity it bestows on almost every single person who comes onto that screen is kind of, I can't really think of too many other television shows that I've seen do this.
The genius, like absolute god tier artistry of this show is not where we thought it was going to be. The headlines about the Pitt before it premiered was, this is going to be an ER/broadcast style medical show done for the Prestige era in real time. And everyone, us included, understood that to mean it'll be gorier, it'll be more intense, and it will do more formalist trickery because it's given itself this almost painterly challenge of real-time storytelling. Sure, it did all that, and that wasn't even a stress for it. The incredible achievement of this show is really coming into focus this season in the way that in the midst of the chaos, it finds pockets of space for absolutely reverent and, as you said, deeply respectful recreations of actual medical emergencies. The fact that in episode 7 of season 2, there was enough space and they had enough confidence to take the space to have Dana show us what it means to be an emergency response for sexual trauma nurse. A sane. I got the letters wrong. But most shows don't have time for that. Slower paced shows don't have the time for that.
The Pitt probably shouldn't because of the way a typical, I don't even know what a typical episode is anymore, but finish your point. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you did.
Yeah.
That's the point. It finds these pockets of air to do these stories and to do them well. We joke about how there are moments where, you know, essentially the characters like turn to the camera and deliver Act Blue emails to us, which, you know, guilty. Can't spam them all. But nothing about the representation of this traumatic event and how it plays out with people like Dana, it felt canned or forced or declarative. It was just living. And in the midst of an episode in which, as you said, Jack Abbott comes in camo and it's just like, you're going to make it, buddy. We've just found the hole in your trachea.
Yeah.
It's a miracle.
Obviously, it's a very like raw and volatile moment. You know, this character Alana is a rape victim, and Dana and I believe Emma is the first day nurse.
And you said it's SANE. It's sexual assault nurse examiner. And when they first say SANE, I thought they were saying saint, which also works.
Yeah, and you know, it's strange to be like, this is really savvy storytelling about something like this, but the fact that you bring along the first day nurse allows Dana, to say, you should sign up to be one of these because we need one and we need more of these like nurses in hospitals. 2, it allows her to walk the nurse through it step by step.
Yeah, like the audience.
So there's basically a double VO. It's like Dana's explaining to the victim, here's what I'm going to be doing, here's what I'm going to be doing. And then she can turn to the nurse and be like, here's how we save this sample for collection later. And here's like why the chain of evidence needs to be strict because of X, Y, and Z. And it's a just absolutely extraordinary piece of television. It's very hard to watch. But I think it's sensitive and it's straightforward and it doesn't adorn it with music and it doesn't have unnecessary like banter or anything like that. Like, it is what it is. And I thought it was just a great act of television making in this episode. And Lyness is fantastic in it.
Something I believe in my bones is that good storytelling isn't complicated. It's fucking hard.
Yeah.
But it's not complicated. And as obvious as it seems now that we're enjoying the fruits of this decision, someone in this creative team and in this writer's room had to walk in one day to the Warner Brothers lot and was like, well, the way to give Dana more screen time is to do what we did in season 1 with the doctors, and she needs a resident. And now all of those avenues of storytelling and of teaching are now available to this character.
Yes.
And that gives us different ways into these rooms and different ways to... the beauty of the show and why I never get tired of talking about it is because we can praise it for the storytelling and the drama and the performances, but we can also break down the X's and O's. And that when you give more story to the nursing staff, everyone else gets a breather. Everyone else can move more naturally
when Perla
between
and
rooms.
Princess and Dana are rolling around.
When you spread the offense like that.
Yeah, I mean
that's the Sean Mannion method, I believe.
This I think will stand as like where the season turned. If I express some reservations about what an average temperature episode of The Pitt felt like. I always enjoy watching this show. It was really more of a just like, what does this show do when it's not Apocalypse Now at this place? And I don't have to worry about that anymore because obviously the episode ends with this cyber attack or at least a feared one.
Yeah.
And before we get there, I did want to talk a little bit about Al-Hashimi, Dr. Al-Hashimi, who's another person that we've been kind of not concerned trolling about, but just kind of concerned about, like, it's been 6 hours. We're going to get another wrinkle to this person other than them walking in and saying generative AI all the time. What did you think of the hints of something going on with her as the young man who was sort of arrested or brought in after being tased in his school library? He's developing, I don't know if it's schizophrenia, bipolar disorder.
He's presenting some concerning mental illness symptoms.
And as believe, was it Javadi talks about that with the parents of this kid, Al-Hashimi seems to have a moment.
A panic,
goes into a bathroom and calls her a neurologist.
Yeah.
We don't really know what's going on there, but what did you think of adding a layer to her?
Dude, also, if an attending ER physician has to do the press 2 to make an appointment menu with doctors, we are cooked. Like that stressed me out more than anything. Someone give her a real life person to talk to. I mean, it was troubling for the character, clearly, but promising for the storytelling, and of a piece with the other thing that these guys just seem to be just preternaturally gifted at, which is anticipating audience temperature and reaction. There was a period of time, like the dawning of like fan internet, when like television without pity existed. And that was like the early message board where people talked about TV in a different way, in terms of being like fans, but also critical and also talking about the craft. And there was a real dividing line. And this is like in the early, like 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8 of people. So pre-Grantland even, but some creators engaged with it and some people didn't. But probably everyone looked.
Sure.
And you could probably do a forensic examination of some of the TV from that era and be like, they got too deep in the boards because things became reactive. Like what Lost did to Nikki and Paolo is an example of reading the audience reaction to it and just hitting the ejector seat on whatever plan you have in a kind of vengeful way. What the Pitt is doing at such an advanced level is it just seems to understand like the electorate.
Yeah.
Last week was our breaking point with Al-Hashimi. This week we get depth. One thing that I've noticed in the Pitt fandom is that the past 2 weeks seems to have been a breaking point with superfans with Santos. There's a lot of fan anger, hatred, like of this character. She's so mean. She's so whatever. This is the episode where they cleared a little space for her to show those Broadway chops.
Yeah.
And sing. And that knowledge of like when to drop a little bit more to draw you back in is masterful.
I fully disagree with any...
I don't agree with the criticism, but please give me the...
I just think that character is different than she was in the first season.
Yes.
I think that her stresses and her attitude in this season are rooted primarily in her mixed feelings about Langdon being back and avoiding him. And, the pressure that she's feeling to finish the second year of her residency or whatever year of the residency that she's now worried about having to redo if she falls behind too much on her paperwork. And she's sort of being used as an example of the bureaucratic and clerical pressures that doctors are under outside of the actual day-to-day job that they have to do. I think it's pretty interesting that she and a couple of these doctors, I believe, would be now having to choose what to do with their jobs. So
that came up with Javadi.
It did make me wonder whether we'll have some cast turnover.
It's inevitable.
Practically speaking, we probably should. Yes,
they did a rather large time jump. So they are now these are all into their second years basically. They could do a shorter time jump to keep them in their current places. They could inevitably
July 6th.
Robbie's just rumbling away in his motorcycle. Just know while he's sitting the season out. Inevitably, some of these young pups will be like, emergency medicine is my calling.
Yeah.
But I think you're right that some won't. Some might move upstairs to other departments, and then we might expand the aperture of the show to them coming in and out. You know, the show won't really go upstairs that often.
Yeah, it seems like it's very dedicated to staying within the emergency department and the ambulance bay of the emergency department.
Sometimes the roof.
I mean, it's essentially
yes.
if a doctor goes somewhere, it opens it up to following them. But for the most part, it seems like it shoots.
You were saying before about industry having the courage of its convictions. I mean, the Pitt is designed to be forward-thinking and nimble and also backwards-looking and comfortable.
Yeah.
There could be a breaking point when it will have to make tough decisions about fan favorites or about, losing people to gain people that may be controversial. But that's all in the future. In the meantime, making those kinds of future decisions part of the story, it's important.
Yeah.
And so, like, for example, we learned this week that Javadi has a fun dad.
Dad.
Really like that plot line.
Yeah.
That, like, I just felt like that was really, really a cool choice. Fun dad. Likes, what does he like? Pickleball and whiskey?
Yeah.
Great. He has like a fun handshake with
and
his
the mom's
daughter.
like, give up pickleball or,
Give up both?
Yeah.
She's tough.
Have you noticed, I saw you speaking of Pitt fandom, they're very attentive. The fandom is very detail-oriented.
And I'm not trying to strawman the fandom that, like, if I go on the Reddit website, it's all Pitt stuff now to me, and it's all like fucking Santos.
This is not the way I watch this show, which
Right.
is like looking for clues and threads and mysteries. I there's a couple of things that I've noticed that they have, this helmet thing with
Robbie.
With Robbie has come up a bunch. The Al Hashimi thing with her talking to a neurologist. A couple of people have pointed out that she has done very little hands-on doctoring.
It's true.
So, like,
she says, "Do you need help in here?" a lot.
Yeah, Robbie and Abbott are often like, "I'm shoving a Nerf ball into this guy's abdomen to like keep it inflated." She's like, I instruct others.
She's quite clean,
but I don't know whether that's worth noting in relationship to whatever she's talking about to her neurologist.
That's like a soccer thing, right? He keeps a clean jersey. No, it's a clean sheet.
Clean sheet meaning
and baseball is what you want to get.
Yeah, you want to get dirty.
You slide a little bit
Charlie
to look
Hustle.
like you, right?
Just saying that's out there. It's floating out there.
So where do we think that's going?
That she could have a neurological problem that's affecting her hands.
Oh, yeah. Wow! I didn't see that coming at all.
That's a guess. This is just I am nothing. I'm just a conduit.
What kind of doctor
I go
are you?
out, I get the information, I bring it to you, and I share it with everybody else, and I take no responsibility for the information.
Well, you fit right in on the internet. This is you found the perfect medium for your particular set of skills.
I really have.
It is amazing.
Yeah,
we still all talk about that. All of us, the old gang from New York. When a man
Chris got in a microphone to start talking about driving and listening to Gentle Moon,
which you did before there was a microphone.
I did.
So when a man meets the moment, you can't front on it.
Any other Pitt news? Notes?
Langdon, Robbie,
up on the roof.
That's a weird moment to shout at each other. They should get a podcast, work it out the way modern men do. I don't think Robbie's wrong. I think that we
may have wanted to try and make that decision before Langdon came back, but obviously.
But also he thought he was on the way out, and
yes.
It was interesting to see Robbie's coaching style not work for all players anymore.
Yeah.
Because Langdon was freezing up. Some people, maybe it's new school, like Gen Z, sensitive snowflake stuff, but you want to be lifted up. You don't want to be put on the spot like that.
Yeah. I guess we can wrap it up there.
I guess. Any couple other things just to throw out at you?
Please.
We can move on.
Please.
Santos is lingering on some scarring on her leg.
Yes. She's a cutter.
Cutting, perhaps. We don't really know the full story there. The Chekhov's deaf patient is stressing me out. Speaking of Santos,
yes.
I feel like
not a great match between patient and doctor, I don't think. Like Santos is being kind of beleaguered and needing to move through some stuff.
Also, the speed with which a lot of things get done once you actually enter the ER, you're out in triage or waiting for a long time, but then once you get in, usually they got to free up the beds, and she really seems to have an unlimited stay.
This is the crazy thing about this season is they've got several people who are kind of squatting. They've got Digby, the homeless guy. They've got Roxy, the terminal cancer patient.
Who doesn't want to leave.
And they had the prisoner who is going to get fed, but is, I think, going up to another bed.
Do you have any takes on Roxy?
I'll be honest, it's a kind of like a hard thing for me to watch. It's not my preferred storyline. This is another plot line where I'm like, what's also happening here that I think I will also, that I think what is actually happening is exactly what we're watching.
Yes.
But I'm like, why does she keep trying to not go home?
That's the thing about the show.
That's TV brain.
But it's, again, they have that brain. So this storyline could be exactly what it appears to be, that her husband is too solicitous, too kind, has given up too much of himself, and she has hit her breaking point.
Yes.
Where she does not want to be treated this way or to be in a mausoleum of her own home or whatever the case may be. Or, and they know it as well as we do, is there something ominous?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why I'm even like wandering off into what's wrong with Al-Hashimi and what did the husband do is because the opening few episodes did have a couple of zags of like, you think this guy's sick, but it's actually his wife.
Oh, remember that?
Yeah, so it's like, it'll play around with that, but I think once we get into the real fire of going analog, which this episode ends with,
that's
like
nuts. The CEO shows up, Trent Norris. CEO Trent Norris. Some people are born to be CEOs.
That's true.
Wearing his little pink shorts.
Yes, because he was at a July 4th party.
Didn't want to. We don't know that. That just could be what he wears.
I think the idea is that he has been ripped from his grill.
Disagree. I think he is a fun CEO.
Oh, yeah?
And he always dresses in bright colors and shorts.
Mr. Kaiser Permanente is
kind of like
wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, when Pat Croce was CEO of the Sixers, and he's just like, I'm like you.
Yeah, it's true.
I wear shorts.
Yeah, see you guys at TGI Fridays.
It'll be fun. Yeah, that was wild. So here we go. Not that we weren't already going.
Yeah. Thank God they have Jack Abbott on the clock now.
Yo,
Night shift came in early, brother.
What, before we go, and you could punt this next week if you want, but like, what would be the craziest off-hours thing for you to choose to do? And honestly, I think you do it because you just admitted on this podcast that in your downtime you fired up a rewatch of 000. But this dude is a night shift emergency room doctor who, in order to chill out during the day, goes on SWAT team raids.
Do you know what it would be, honestly?
Yeah, talk about it.
If I took down scores. If during my off hours, I was actually really about this life and was robbing banks. Oh. And then I came back in and potted about movies I like where banks get robbed.
First of all, someone just sold that idea. Why didn't you keep that?
Bat podcaster?
The rewatchables-esque podcaster who then commits crimes inspired by the lifestyle of the criminals in the movies that he has unusual insight into. You want to go half on that?
Yeah, you go half. I get a piece.
Yeah, you can get a touch. You can get a taste. Can I get your life rights? Because Travel Baseball, I just pre-sold that to Amazon
Travel
Prime.
Baseball Sicario.
Where a 15-year-old catcher in his downtime, in flip-flops,
as is Josh Brolin from Sicario.
Is also Josh Brolin from Sicario.
Got to wrap it up there.
I guess so.
Thanks to Kaya McMullen. Thanks to Kai. Thanks to everybody. We'll be back on Monday. Season finale of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms and the penultimate episode of Industry.
I mean,
some fun guests coming up. Shoresy's back. I am going to make you watch the first episode of the new season of Shoresy. It is the funniest thing I have seen since Eastbound and Down.
That's big words. I'm always willing to do things you suggest.
Yeah.
You want to follow up?
I am always willing to do things you suggest, except watch animated films.
There it is. Just to leave people on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
You think it's still drizzling out there or what?
Yes, I do. I don't think we're going to walk out into brilliant sunshine.
Okay. Wish us luck. This might be our last pod. Hope you brought your snorkel.